please welcome President Tarja Halonen, the former President of the Republic of Finland, for a conversation on breaking down barriers with foreign policy's Andrew Solinger.
What an audience. I mean that they have been sitting here how many hours already with different... Okay.
Actually, not that long, but they've been very patient with the ins and outs.
Okay.
We're so happy to have you here. And I want to clarify something also about President Halonen. We were waiting for her earlier, but that's because we shifted her earlier. She's not late. She's exactly on time. I just want to clarify that. So we're all clear. We were the ones who were off on that one. President Halonen, thank you so much for joining us here at Her Power. You may have heard some of the comments that were just made. This is an incredibly important moment for gender rights globally, especially as we talk about them around the UN. And you have an incredible perspective from your history and where you have been and where you've served. You were the first female president in Finland's history. So far. Elected 20 years ago-ish, more, 24?
I started 2000, and then we have a 6 years period, and 2 times is possible, so I made 12 years. And before that, I was 5 years foreign minister to my predecessor, Matti Ahtisaari, and then I have been in Minister of Justice, Minister of Social Welfare, 20 years in the Parliament, and I started in 1969 as a student radical. So I'm old.
You were young at heart, and we thank in spirit. A long history of public service. Interestingly, the most recent Finnish Prime Minister, Sanna Marin, is the youngest Prime Minister who has ever served in that office, and her top cabinet officials.
And you will have a possibility to listen her on Saturday in the Central Park. They have some big citizens
award event.
Or something like that. Yeah. So,
well, we will look for her there.
But I think it was sold out. But sometimes sold out doesn't mean that you don't get the tickets. Okay.
We'll talk to the president afterwards if we need tickets. I have a feeling she might have access. Interestingly, Prime Minister Marin's top cabinet officials were also all women. What do you think?
Yeah, and so now my husband will say that you behave like at home, but anyway, so we have a coalition government. It's very typical in Finland, and Sanna Marin's government was also a coalition government. It was consisting 5 different political parties, and every one of them had a lady as a lead.
Outstanding. So tell us what you think that track record of female leadership in government in Finland says to other countries who have yet to meet that milestone so far, like the United States.
Yes, so far. Yeah, good. I love such kind of optimistic men. No, it was a very good time. Of course, it's according my own political background. I think that in USA I would be Democrat. I say it openly. And so in that way, I think that everything went very well. It was a time of COVID-19, and which made it very difficult. Somebody could say even that COVID-19 had, if you see that there was any benefits, it was that people understood quite quickly that we must have some kind of the consensus. We have to understand that how to behave, and I think we did it a bit better than what you made in USA, because in Finland we have
a low bar.
We had in Finland the good situation that scientists, even they have a different kind of opinions. In the publicity, they said that this system could be this good side and that bad side, and that always the experts, if any of you is scientists, always tell to those who should make a decision that all systems have a good side and bad side, and then it's a politicians to choose which are the good sides and bad sides, because there is not such kind of system which is without any negative side. Yeah.
Interesting. I bet you don't think about this a lot, and I understand now for 2 6-year terms. You served for 12 years as head of state. Do you know where you rank in terms of length of service and tenure or democratically elected heads of state that were women?
Quite good, I think.
Yeah, quite good. Let me tell you where you rank. By my math, number 5, after Vigdis Finnbogadóttir of Iceland, who was the first democratically
and now
elected.
I do. Okay, Icelanders are always doing it well.
16 years she was head of Iceland. And then number 2, maybe we could do this as an interactive. Angela Merkel of Germany.
Yeah.
Also,
but she was
also 16
a good
years.
One. She was a good one. Yeah, okay. After all, mistakes, but she was good. Yeah.
We're not going to hand out grades, but I'll agree with you. Number 3 is a little tougher. That's Eugenia Charles of Dominica, 14 years.
Yeah.
And then number 4, the great Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
12
we
years,
know
6
each other. Yeah, we after the war in Liberia was over, so she wanted to organize a very good international meeting to tell that we have now the peace. And I was the guest of honor there because we have helped them. And then the interesting thing was that the how could I say, the places were in terrible condition. And when I went there and then I said that looks quite bad. So even it's now peace. So she said, okay, but let's wait for tomorrow. Our women will even clean the streets. And they did it. They put all this as much as they could. They were really preparing like a family congress in such a way. And everybody should see that now this is a new system. And so, yeah, she was great.
Great. So then there's you, number 5. Do you know who you beat out as number 6 and 7?
No.
Margaret Thatcher.
Yep. Yeah.
And Indira Gandhi.
Oh, no, yeah.
So that's some good company.
But my end was better than
You're
Indira,
right.
yes. So far.
Well, I'm not going to go there. That's good company, but I want to ask what understanding the length of your term also, and this doesn't have to do really with gender at all, the importance of term length and continuity in effective leadership. We switch here in the United States, it's just a constant election cycle. And then in some parliamentary systems, it makes our term lengths in the U.S. seem like epics.
Yeah.
Do we need to fix that? Do term lengths need to be longer?
So I already told beforehand to you that I happened to be here in USA, in Boston, at Harvard University. I was already retired, and so I remember when I was asked to study also the Obamacare and then also the situation with Hillary. We were not at all the similar. I think that the Boston people said that Elizabeth Warren could be the more like me, but then we tried to, how could I say, to discuss that what could be useful and not. And so your political system is totally different. We have direct elections, so the people vote directly, the candidates. We had in the time 2000 when I was candidating. So thanks for already the predecessor. So when my predecessor, Matti Ahtisaari, the Nobel laureate in peace, so in final discussions he was against Elizabeth Rehn, a lady, our first Minister of Defense, female one. And so in that time already we could feel that women are, and also part of the men are ready to vote a woman. And then 2000 we had, if I remember correctly, 6 female candidates and 1 man. And then in final roadshow we had this man and me. And I was a foreign minister. I was very well trained in that way. So I think that we cannot compare the systems. For me, USA is something between the state and EU in such a way that you have a federal states and you have a lot of power also in your states. When we are large country, small population, and direct election. So I don't try to give any advice.
We're going to ask you for advice, so I hope you'll change your mind. Finland continues to be one of the top countries to have closed a remarkable percentage of its gender gap, according to the annual World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Report. What in Finland? What is there still left to be done? And what, even though you're not in the business of giving advice, what can we learn from your example, from Finland's example, and bring that to other countries, other regions?
So the first thing to make the people vote. That voting is something. It's like a human rights that you cannot give it to somebody else. You have to do it by yourself. And one thing what is very typical for us, for women, is we have learned that whatever we do, also some men, I see there, at home, it means that you do the same things every bloody day, and then you have to start it again. Whether it's cleaning, food, or something else. And I think that in politics this is a little bit the same, that even you think that you have done already a lot of reforms, and then 5 years, 10 years, and then you have to try to again, at least to defend the reforms, and then you have to do it again. And in that way I think that what you can learn is to be stubborn. In Finnish we have a Finnish word which is sisu. Sisu means that you try even to go through the grey stone if it's needed. And so I mean that you cannot get everything ready-made. You have to work hard to do it. And then when you get it, you repeat it.
We like to, I think that is an applause note.
Okay, I know we have...
We're at 0 right now. Something's wrong with this clock. It's broken. The last thing I always want to leave with, but especially with you.
I have time for you. My next place is after 1 hour, 1.5. Yeah.
So last, I don't think MasterCard would be too happy about that. Let's go. One last question then.
Okay.
To end on an optimistic note, you've seen a lot over your time. You have the benefit of and as foreign minister, I hope an FP reader, have seen some bad stuff. Unfortunately, we seem to be at a very horrible inflection point in the world right now. What gives you hope that we can work our way through this?
Difficult to say. We just made in Finland a book together with a younger journalist, and she said that when she started, she thought that I could give such kind of way of optimism, what I seem to have. And I said that I'm every morning very optimistic. In the evenings it's more difficult. And so so when she had to study what was from 2000 to 2012, what was my time to being president, so she was astonished, and she said that I didn't understand that it was so difficult time, so much chaotic situation. We have the war against the terrorism, and we had all this. You remember the Twin Towers and everything, and then we started in Afghanistan. It was also I have been in politics when it was the Iraqi war and all that. And so I said that, yeah, afterwards you always think that things are very logical and easy to see what you should do the next. But when you are living it, it's very difficult because you don't know the future. And so I think that the worst thing what is happening now, when you ask that what's the worst, I think that earlier the Red Cross was the symbol that don't attack. In the old days we said that hurting women or children was the worst thing to do. Today, both the United Nations and its civil servants or Red Cross or other same organizations, they seem to be more targets. Nobody tries to avoid that, but we get the civilian victims. Of course we understand that there might be, and it has been an old system, and that also the systems are internet in such a way layered, that it's very difficult to divide the civil and military. But nowadays it seems to be even worse. And that's why I'm very happy that both European Union and USA, we are trying to stop these terrible things. Then other thing what was a shock for us, for Europeans, has been, of course, the Russians' war in Ukraine. because we thought that we Europeans, we are already so developed that there will not be an old-fashioned war in our continent. And as you know, it was a mistake. And so that's it, what we have to study and learn. Now it's perhaps too close yet, that's what was wrong. And we, as a neighboring country for Russia, so,
And now a member of NATO.
yeah, and also Sweden.
Yeah.
And Sweden, which has been 200 years without war and was strongly against the military networking in that way, now they are also in NATO.
Yeah. So, so if we had more of your wisdom still in government, perhaps we would not be in this mess. But we thank you so much for sharing your insights and for coming and sharing.
Be optimistic, at least in the mornings. Okay.
President Halonen.
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you so much.
And now, turn your attention to the screen.